Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of I Am Legion for Dying Light 1 and 2. My name is Jason, the creator, and I wanted to release another fun update for you guys. So I have been working on several things since the last update here where they turned off the winter event. So that winter event was keeping several things from actually firing as expected with the mod. And now that we are back to the regular game, a lot of those new things can actually take place. So one of the probably the biggest things for this latest update is that the human AI is essentially now online. And what I mean by that is that previously the human AI was pretty simplistic. It was not, as I've mentioned before in other movie or videos rather, it was not really meant to fight in the open world against so many zombies and that kind of thing. It was really only meant to kind of exist in these very curated kind of events that took place. And as you explored the world, you would find these humans kind of hanging out, and they weren't really meant to be under attack. You know, they were meant to just kind of hold their own ground and that area be clear. Well, as of this last update, we actually have humans behaving a lot more natural inside the world. So now you should have humans actually exploring the world and engaging with enemies in a much more realistic way. So previously, they would just kind of hang out and not really engage, and that's been addressed. So as we explore the world, I'll specifically try to call out when I see certain human groups. But now you should see a lot more interactions with the human AI inside the world that will make them appear a little bit more like the RPG elements, so similar to the Fallout 4 kind of game, where you have these enemies and NPCs expanding the world by either attacking different enemies or trying to find new weapons or interacting with each other. And so that's what I'm really hoping to bring into this game. And so let's head back over towards the metro base. So where you'll see a majority of this is when getting close to the bases. Previously, I upgraded the game to where now you'll have actual archers on the walls and they'll be able to actually fire down on the enemies. Well, I put them in the game, but they didn't really seem to want to fire down on the enemy. They just kind of hung out up there and they didn't really detect anything outside the walls. Well, that led me to researching a little bit more about the human AI in general, and that actually is what led to this latest update, which allowed me to get the humans to respond a little bit more naturally inside the world. So let's see if we can get over there. I know that along with those, with the winter event getting turned off, we should now also have the new venom and chemical volatiles in the world. If you've seen a jet black volatile around heading around the buildings, that's the venom variant. And if you've seen one that glows in the dark and kind of has a face that's all green that lights up, so there is one that has scratches, and then there's one that will actually light up. And that the one that lights up is the chemical version, while the one with the scratches is meant to represent one that is fought up again that's fought a hag. And so you should see a couple of variants there. But the human AI, previously, I was having to do a lot of balancing in the game to try to make these guys be able to survive more than 5 seconds out in the world. And a lot of that might be able to be counterbalanced now that the human AI is actually participating in the world itself. So if we can see him before I die here, we should actually have bowmen up on the walls that will fire down, and we should have human groups that as we travel through the world here will be actively fighting. But the other day, I think the easiest way to see the reactions or to see the results is to go attack the PK and you yourself be shot at from the walls. They will light you up inside this area. But this is one of the examples. So also a couple people reported. So there's a whole list of bug fixes but a couple of people reported some things I did want to mention. There have been a lot of bug fixes here as well. And this additionally, a lot of people have been reporting this. I did want to mention that this is normal. You will occasionally get this area of the PK Metro will be flooded with zombies, and that's a little bit more realistic on Ultimate because they'll be climbing the walls. But on regular, you'll get a couple of fresh dead now that will also be trying to get inside the base. And so as you're exploring the world, you'll continue to get a little bit more immersion. Like I said, a couple of more things have been turned on and are more interesting inside these bases. And so hopefully that helps with some of the enjoyment here inside the city. And I'm looking forward to continuing now that I've gotten everything kind of fixed. So there was a couple of things. So to talk specifically about the bugs that have been fixed, there was a bug where there was kind of these blob zombies that were showing up inside the world. And so those have been addressed to where you should no longer have those. I've gone through and I've redone the loot system again. So I took another long look at the loot system today. And basically, I realized that a lot of that loot system was still very simplistic, didn't have a lot of information there as far as like the unique factions and different groups being able to get custom loot inside the world. So I did go through and down to volatile groups, goons, chargers, corruptors, demolishers, each human faction, each one's been given a specific loot variable so that they can actually feel a little bit more interesting and diverse. I've also removed, so I did notice that there was a lot of cash and valuables kind of added to the special infected. These have been removed and custom content has been added in its place, so you're more likely to find my custom content, the Halloween, the slasher armor specifically, or the Skinner armor. You're more likely to find the Skinner armor than you are to find valuables, but you'll also have a higher chance of finding multiple glands and samples as well. And so hopefully that helps with some of the people reporting that they've been trying to go and loot the world, and that, you know, going and trying to find all those trophies has been kind of a pain. Well, hopefully that will help. The higher tier guys you take out, the better gear you'll find inside the world. But as we kind of explore here, you can still, through the config, you can go in here and configure how many humans are in the world. But those humans, one of the things that I often saw before as you jumped around the city is you would like go up and you would see all the zombies kind of flooding in on the humans. And the humans would just kind of be standing there waiting to be attacked, and then they would actually get attacked, and then they would all kind of activate. That should be fixed now to where the humans will actually be fighting with the PK and fighting with the zombies off in the distance. So you should come across actual wars as you're moving across the space. In addition, I am also releasing the additional, or the optional rather, war zones version as well, and that war zones version will allow you to spawn more humans into the world and environment itself. This should allow you to have more interesting war zones and more interesting human interactions, especially now that this human AI is actually turned on and activated. That should lead to some very interesting battle zones. And so I'll do a very specific video here soon as I continue to upgrade them. So I am going to try to continue with this process of getting the bandits updated. They're really the last remaining group that has not been upgraded yet with all the new groups. And so I will be continuing to try to upgrade them as well. Let's see if I can actually switch out the save game here, and let's head over to the swamp area and let's talk about some of the new custom zombies, and let's see what we see in the world while we're heading that way. So this one area in particular, this is actually a good example, seeing how we're here, of where, for if you guys are playing the storyline, I have tried to go through and upgrade the story or the actual loot systems as well, to have more decoys, to have more UV flares, to have the humans actually patrolling the city and able to combat these zombies. And so when you're playing the storyline now, you should have a lot less humans standing around watching you die over and over again. You should be able to actually form different groups as you travel around, and to help with that, the companions have now also been added to the loot system. So the companions are mainly going to be found in quests specific to each companion, and then also sold by the different survivor traders. So as you're completing different training missions, helping save different survivors, you'll have the opportunity of calling in those companions to come to your aid. And so when you're doing some of these quests now and you feel like you're not able to actually complete the quest because there is way too many zombies in that area, you should be able to call in one of these companions and have them come to your aid and assist you in that quest. I have upgraded some of the code. So these guys are still kind of in the process. They're not fully worked out. But the idea here is that they're able to climb, they're able to move around the world and help you out. And I've also upgraded that logic to where they should also have custom logic for when they're on the inside as well. So they should behave one way when they're on the exterior and one way when they're on the interior. Looks like this one didn't show up. So let's go ahead and do another. See, Spike is usually set to 100%. He usually comes no matter what. So as you're traveling through the interiors, basically the idea is that the interiors, they should get closer to the player and allow you to kind of stick close to that player and help the player out. And then as you get further away or you get to the exteriors, they'll kind of go back to following at a distance. I have also shortened that distance by a little bit, so they should be able to keep up a little bit better going through the city. So let's go over and attack these renegades. You can see that they are firing from across the way here. And so Spike and I will go over and attack these guys. Oof. These guys have also been upgraded quite a bit to where the renegades are really the don't mess with them at early levels if you don't have the weapons to actually combat them. These groups of 3 renegades, specifically the bowmen that are put into the world, are really meant to deter you from being able to get into certain areas. So if you do encounter these guys, just know. So it does look like my companion's a little buggy there. He's still a work in progress. So it's been one of the things I've kind of been holding back on putting the companions out into the world. And I may still pull them from this latest release just so I can continue to work on him because I'm not sure why he's buggy there. He wasn't buggy earlier, but as you can see, he's just kind of glitching out here. So yeah, I think I'm going to hold off on the companions update just until I continue to refine these guys, just because I don't want anybody to spawn these guys into the world and think that the game is broken or think that there's a problem. And so instead of releasing that, maybe we'll just hold off. But as you can see, one of the cool things that as you run around this world, you will start to get more interesting battle zones and more interesting fights going on inside this world. It's much different than previous versions of the mod, where these humans just kind of hung out. Now you will get full-fledged like battles going on in the streets, and they'll actually be one of the things where you kind of wait for the battle to be over and then go loot afterwards if you aren't high enough level to actually take these guys on, because they should come with much better weaponry than you, especially at these lower levels. So let's go ahead and switch our save game actually so that we can continue to look at some of the other things inside the environment here. Additionally, as you saw when we first got started, the special infected have also received a scale update. And so as you travel through the world, so not only did they receive custom loot, they also received custom scales kind of set up to try to make them a little bit more intense as you get higher in level. So the biggest one is probably the goons and the tyrants. No, that's not true. The corruptors are actually the biggest. So as you saw at the start of the video, that corruptor is much larger, meant to be more like the Spriggan off of Skyrim, much larger giant creature kind of thing. Makes him feel much more deadly when fighting with him in an actual zone. And the same is true of the volatiles and the goons. So before, the goons for the most part came to about your height, a little bit taller. And now I've gone through and actually made it to where you can have some that are huge. Same is true of the volatile tyrants as well. So as you're traveling through the world, those will be considered more bosses inside this world, and then the other ones will be considered more of the varying scale. So as you find the different volatiles throughout the world, you'll get a good variance of size there to make it feel like you have different volatiles that have been infected and have changed over time. I really wanted to make sure that they felt like they were something unique that formed over time here. So let's go ahead and start heading in this general direction. We can kind of keep an eye out for different things. I have gone through and I saw a bug report come through that there were no special infected inside the interiors. That has been fixed. Along with, please keep me posted if this latest version fixes the issue. I've had a few people report that they've seen screamers out during the day and that kind of thing. That should be fixed with this latest version. That was due to a glitched file for the spawn, and that's what was causing those blobs. So now that that's fixed, that problem should be gone as well, but please keep me posted if that's starting to show up. The base building update is continuing along. I've actually had some pretty good luck with the base building. I think one of the biggest things that I'm looking at now is that it appears that the base building is set up to where everything will stick around for the session that you're in, but some items when you quit the game will disappear. So if you do go through and try to set up like a really cool base, there might be a chance that it will disappear once you load the game back up, which obviously is not very fun. So I'm continuing to look at what my options are and build those options out to where it'll be a little bit more of a survivor base. So throwing down a sleeping bag, throwing down a basic mobile generator, some UV lights, that kind of thing for now until we find some more options there. So as we start to go around the world, you'll see that the AI is very much awake, very much interactive, and looking at each other. And that's exactly what I was hoping for. One of my favorite things about the new update is that bases are now online at night as well. And so if you get in a chase, you can actually end up leading the enemies into a base. So just be aware of the fact that the UV lights are no longer blanket UV lights that protect the entire base. They are actually pinpoint lights, and some of them, based on the original code, are not actually online. So some of those UV lights are fake. And so because of that, you'll know at night which ones are working and which ones aren't. But that being said, some of the entryways of the bases have been set up to where those aren't actual real lights. And so because of that, you will occasionally now get an issue where you'll have zombies able to get inside the base. So just be aware that when you lead these guys back, make sure you're heading for a base that has good walls and has good protection. And if you need to, try to lose as many troops as you can before going inside the base, because you may actually overrun the base and kill some of the guards and that kind of thing. So the new zombie type, the swamp biter, should be inside the world. I have not actually wandered all the way over here yet. So if this doesn't work, I'm sorry, but I'm going to see if everything is set up. They should be spawning inside the world, and so we should see them here in a second. I was not able to test during the last event, and so because the event, I wasn't actually able to go in here and balance these guys out. But here we are. We have a new biome of creatures. Ah, I love it. So these guys are meant to help balance out the world where you have these exploders everywhere in the map. I hate them. They drive me crazy. I think I am probably going to turn down their number as well so that you get more of these. So you get the horde of undead that will follow you. They do hiss and they do hurt if they get hold of you. But the idea here is that these guys have less loot on them, and so you're less likely to find loot if you do see them inside the world. And they are more of, there's a lot of them, and so they will jam up the streetways and the rooftops and all that good stuff. But they are also meant so that these exploders are a little less annoying, which, as you just saw right there, there's just really not much you can do against them, and so it just kind of drives me nuts when I'm fighting those guys. So hopefully you guys like these new guys. I've got some plans for some additional ones coming up here soon as well, and so I look forward to your guys' feedback. Please keep me posted on what you guys think, and stay tuned for the daytime volatile that will also be joining the ranks here soon. That is also built off that swamp veritable where they are covered in mud, and so they're actually able to go out into the daytime, and so you actually have to watch out for the volatiles as well. Included with that, I'm also moving the ash volatile so that you'll find the ash volatile more likely at the mist, or the not the mist but the dust area as well, and so you should end up with those guys in some of the underground structures. And I believe that hits on most of the major updates from this change. I think the biggest thing was just going through and trying to balance the world to make the world feel a little bit better, and to get rid of some of these bugs that were in the game. I do apologize that that one bug stuck around, especially the blob zombies and that kind of thing, for so long. But with this latest version, I'm super excited to hear your guys' feedback. The game is running beautifully. They early on, Best Gamer Ali reported, lighting effects and some other things. I've had some pretty good luck here. The game appears to be working well on my side. Very immersive at this point with such a diverse world. I am happy to see the elves go. And so I look forward to seeing your guys' thoughts and opinions going forward. Huge shout out to the Patreon supporters. So thank you guys so much. There's been a huge influx of Patreon supporters since this last version has come out. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Techland, for your shout out as well. I really appreciated you guys taking the moment to mention my work. That was awesome. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to hearing from you guys more. And I want to continue to hear from the community. Thank you guys so much for your contributions and your feedback for this mod. Without you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to talking here again soon, and happy gaming.